Imagine waking up one morning. I'm going to start over again. Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that all the tires on every vehicle have cracked. Not gradually, not politely, but all at once. Cars, trucks, buses, planes, gone. And while you're processing that, the hospital down the streets starts rationing gloves because their next shipment never actually arrived. The water treatment plant reports leaks because their gaskets have failed. You can't drive over that bridge anymore because rubber components are failing and can't be replaced. Everything that depends on rubber, which is nearly everything, begins to unravel.
Wow. So every bad headline you've ever seen compressed into a single Friday.
Modern life rests on a material most people never think about. And today, we're going to talk about it.
Born from heat and sulfur's kiss, a miracle we can't dismiss. Tougher than the strongest thread, holds the world where we tread. A vulcanized rubber, you keep us alive. Stretching and snapping, you help us survive. From tires to souls, to seals that don't break. You're the bond in the world we
make. Okay, so we've been on this whole kick around logistics and shipping and, just, I don't know, industrial tech and railroads and boxes, all that sort of thing. And I ended up watching this documentary about rubber. And I thought, wow, that's really cool. It was a whole documentary about Fordlandia, which was Ford's attempt to create like a functioning village or city in the rainforest in Brazil. And they told the whole, I know your face is like, what?
Why?
Yeah, why?
Why?
So that's what led me here, because we've been talking about trains, planes, and automobiles and shipping and logistics and all of that. And then I watched this crazy thing and I thought, well, we need to talk about rubber.
And I agreed because I'd been to Biosphere too and saw that big rubber bladder that was, hanging in that room where it helps the entire ecosystem breathe. Yeah, I've seen some cool rubber. So welcome back to the Nostalgic. I've seen cool rubber. I've seen it. I've been there. Welcome back to the Nostalgic Nerds podcast, the show where we dig into the technologies that quietly prop up society. Rubber is one of the purest examples of that. It's ancient, essential, and almost invisible until it breaks.
Its story is bizarre. It begins with tree sap, like literally tree sap, and ends with global infrastructure. And in between, we've got chemistry experiments that have gone wrong, international smuggling, because of course, colonial economics, disease outbreaks, and one moment where an entire nation's economy collapsed. Rubber should have its own Netflix drama series. I would watch the heck out of that.
Oh, right. Do you remember that Simpsons episode where Lisa's in the classroom and they're watching a story about sand?
Oh, yes.
Sand. Yeah, this is one of those.
Oh, you know what? That would be a good, we should troll through the Simpsons episodes and go through and see, because they do the meat industry.
They do.
And sand and there's a whole bunch of those. Troy McClure.
There's a ton of them. Yeah, vegetarianism. Yeah,
vegetarianism.
A whole bunch of it. Yeah.
That would be funny.
All
okay, right. I'll put it on the list.
It's going on. Every time we do one of these, we got 6 more things to do. We just talked about Viking history, the technology of Vikings. So we're killing it today.
Yeah,
all right.
Definitely.
Natural rubber starts with latex from the hevea tree. What is that?
Yeah. What? I don't know how to pronounce it either. So, hevea.
Okay. You guys, if there's a correct pronunciation, just throw it our way.
Throw it out there.
Make sure it's absolutely phonetically spelled. Otherwise, we'll make this mistake again. Yeah. Indigenous communities in the Amazon were using it for centuries in ways that were ingenious and perfectly adapted to their environment. The waterproof cloth, shaped containers, made balls that bounced unlike anything Europeans had seen. Rubber was flexible, resilient, and seemed to defy the material. Hey, hang on. So they figured out how to create a rubber ball and use it for games.
Yeah.
What were they using before that?
I don't know.
Fruit? Heads?
I don't know. Yeah. Maybe they just
And they impressed the Europeans. That's not easy to do. It's not. I'm just going to put it out there. That's not easy to do to impress the
Well, but when Europeans tried to industrialize rubber, the materials just refused to cooperate. So, yeah, I don't know if you've seen it before, but it's kind of temperamental. In warm weather, it gets sort of sticky and gummy, and in cold weather, it becomes brittle and, kind of cracks and breaks apart. It expands and contracts unpredictably. Attempts to make shoes or coats out of it looked promising until the seasons changed and everything basically dissolves. The world wanted rubber, but rubber wanted nothing to do with the world. So,
random.
so basically, seeing how rubber actually comes out of the tree changed my perspective. So I went to Thailand, I don't know, a couple years back. It was one of these total boondoggles, right? It was, all the people from the leadership team of a particular company I won't name, and we all got on planes and we all went to Thailand and we all hiked through the jungles of Thailand because it was leadership and, made teams better and all that sort of stuff.
And a death march sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, it totally sounds like a good idea. But seeing and we walked through a rubber plantation, which was kind of cool. So I saw how that worked, but it changed my perspective. I toured that, plantation thinking that there'd be all this machinery and pipes and some sort of industrial choreography, but what was there is actually completely different. And I don't know if you've ever seen it, but basically workers, they move from tree to tree with these little curved blades. They make really precise cuts on the bark, and as soon as that cut is made, the latex began to gather in these kind of tiny drops, and it flows down the side of the tree and collects in a little cup. It's really calm. It's like kind of meditative. You stand there and you watch the level of the cup rise by a few millimeters over minutes. Nothing about it feels industrial or scalable in the way we picture global commodities. And yet, this is how the vast majority of the world's rubber begins. A slow drip, a tree that needs consistent conditions, and some, worker, some dude with a steady hand just cutting the bark of the tree. It feels delicate, delicate enough to fail at any moment, and yet the modern world depends on it.
It's one of the strangest mismatches in technology. We build aircraft tires, water treatment systems, and medical supply chains on top of a living organism that is annoyed by too much rain or too much heat or too little heat and basically any form of attention. There's a tension built into rubber's entire existence. So it's concentration risk, right? So if you think about it, like literally, if everything depends on, and now we've made the statement that pretty much a lot of things depend on. Space shuttle does not get into the without an O-ring, which is nothing but rubber. Right? So, if everything comes down to, sealing a gasket, creating situations where transportation is easier, all of that stuff, this is a concentration on material that we go back to over and over to create these gigantic industries like and airplanes and, that we do all this devices, that we do all this stuff. It is a huge, huge. So if you think about it from a risk perspective, right, that there's a tension built into rubber's entire existence. The fact that it is the raw material for so many other things and so many other industries creates a constant day. Those industries are probably ignoring that. And I would say they probably don't ignore it. They sit there and say, well, no, duh. We all get it from the same place. It only grows one place. I mean, I guess that's what's happening. I mean, nobody just goes what? No, I don't see that over something that big. I'm pretty sure Firestone in their 10K in item 1A, which lists all the investment risk. I'm pretty sure in there it says somewhere, I'm going to look it up now. It says somewhere, this only grows in one place in the world. If that place is subject to climate change or any kind of, terraforming or tearing down of those environments for any other purpose, we're going to lose. We're not going to be able to exist as a company. I'm sure they talk about that, but then that's an existential risk. How do you manage that? How do you manage that? That's crazy.
Well, I'm sure, like you said, Firestone, or name any tire company, right, or rubber production company, name any one of them, and then you're right, they're going to have it as a risk register of some sort. I don't doubt that. But then, what about, I don't know, Anybody that does Amazon have rubber production in their risk register? Maybe they do because they're giant and they're big and all of that. But it's like a couple of steps removed, right? They depend on rubber for
Honda. Would
yeah.
Honda do it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Dirt bikes. Like, is that like we can't get rubber? Like, have you thought about that? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I will have to. Honest to God, at this point, I want to query, AI and just be like, create a model. It's like bringing back everybody who uses rubber but doesn't talk about it in their 10K.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine I can't imagine it's a lot, right?
Yeah.
I think they accept it as a risk they have to just.
Okay, so let's talk about one of the most dramatic economic collapses in industrial history. So here we are, late 19th century Brazil, and it's the heart of global rubber production. By the 1870s and 1880s, the Amazon basin supplied nearly 90% of the world's natural rubber. Profits are huge. Profits are enormous, right? So there's cities like Manaus exploded with wealth. And I love studying these sort of, boomtown kind of, scenarios. I'll have to go back and read more about these guys, but I just think it's really cool. The Manaus Opera House, for example, was built with imported marble and European chandeliers. Streets are paved and electrified. And in fact, it's one of the first cities to be electrified. It was a boom that looked unstoppable. But it was built on a dangerous assumption that the resource itself was permanent. Plantations were dense monocultures of genetically similar Hevea trees, which meant that they were perfect targets for disease. People did not understand how devastating a fungal pathogen could actually be.
The rubber boom is such a classic bubble. Money poured in, infrastructure went up, everyone assumed the upward trajectory was natural, but the industry had deep cracks. The harvesting system was inefficient and extremely labor intensive. And much of that, indigenous communities were forced into debt bondage, relocated or stripped of autonomy. Entire regions were reshaped to feed the global appetite for rubber, and none of visible to the markets profiting from it.
Yeah, and then this collapse hits. Around the turn of the 20th century, South American leaf blight, Microcyclus ulia, began spreading across plantations. By the 1910s, it had crippled commercial rubber production. The blight tore through the Amazonian monocultures at incredible speed. So plantations, they die, just whole plantations gone. Export revenues evaporated, prices crashed. Manaus, which went from one of the richest cities in the hemisphere to a symbol of collapse overnight. Brazil went from global dominance to near irrelevance in a single generation.
Out of Brazil in 1876 were growing happily in British Malaya and the Dutch East Indies. Because the blight never reached Asia, those plantations became the new industrial base for global rubber. The geography of the entire industry flipped. Overnight, the economic center of gravity moved from the Amazon basin to Southeast Asia. And because the labor structures there were more tight, production costs were lower, and the market stabilized around the new suppliers. Does that sound familiar? That sounds so familiar.
Yeah, it does sound familiar. How many examples can we throw out that look exactly like that?
From last year. From last year.
Soybeans, anyone?
Right? Thank you.
Yeah, I know. So basically, this means Brazil's collapse was not just a biological event; it was an economic realignment. We talked about this in the last episode. Just like when it happens, and it doesn't easily
go
shift
back.
back. Yeah. Prices fall, investment moves, shipping routes shifted, and an entire region lost its primary source of wealth. It remains one of the clearest examples in history of how supply chain concentration can make even the richest commodity system catastrophically vulnerable. And it makes that quiet moment in Thailand that I had even more striking. Watching latex drip out of a tree, I realize how naive it is to treat rubber as an industrial constant. This is a natural material with natural vulnerabilities, yet we build systems that assume it will always be there. It's humbling and honestly kind of a little alarming.
Which makes the next chapter of the story feel even more miraculous because someone figured out how to tame this chaotic substance and turn it into the backbone of modern engineering. Charles Goodyear is one of those figures whose biography reads like a cautionary tale and an inspirational fable at the same time. He became obsessed with stabilizing rubber. He poured money into it, wrecked his finances, and experimented relentlessly, convinced he was close to a breakthrough everyone else believed was impossible.
I I went way deep on the in the rabbit hole on Charles Goodyear. But yeah, he did spend just every penny he had. But one day he accidentally drops a mixture of rubber and sulfur onto a hot stove. And instead of melting, the rubber transformed into something flexible and resilient. That moment, that was vulcanization. So chemically, it's the formation of crosslinks between rubber's polymer chains that prevents them from sliding apart when heat or cold hits. It took rubber from being this sort of capricious material to something that was actually kind of predictable and strong.
And once that happened, the world rushed in. Tires, belts, seals, hoses, insulation, waterproof materials, vulcanized rubber became one of the foundational materials of the 20th century.
Yeah. You know, you're a sewing person. You know the original Singer sewing machines. Do you know what the belts were made out of?
Yeah, they were rubber.
No, they were leather.
Actually, no, they weren't. The first one, yeah, the first ones were leather, but I had one like that. And so
Yeah.
you'd have to constantly be tightening the leather because the leather
Yeah.
stretches. And once it stretches, you can't run the main gear
Yeah.
anymore, like
Yeah.
the flywheel, it won't run. So yeah, and so it eventually gets replaced with a belt essentially
Yeah.
that looks exactly like the one in your car. It looks
Yeah.
exactly the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have some of the old leather belts. The leather, they're just like strings basically. It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy. So tires, are become the obvious place to start, but and the it's just sort of this magical synergy, right? The timing around cars and vulcanized rubber, right? Like, would we have a car boom if we didn't have vulcanized rubber? And would we have vulcanized rubber without the car boom? Like this, it's just this weird. mm, Yeah, yeah. I don't want to
It's
use
like
this.
everything else though.
Yeah, yeah.
Ever talked about, right? That we like this technology meets a moment that we didn't know
Right.
we had.
Yeah.
And we go through these as human beings, we go through these efforts to like leverage it any way we can. And in that, we created tires and gaskets and do you know what I mean? And grips on things. And yeah, and I think it just goes back to everything else we've ever talked about. Every time we talk about this, we say this was the technology of the day, and we took it and ran with it over
Yeah.
and over
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
over again. So those are two technologies of the day. And you're right, without one, we don't have the other, right?
Yeah.
But and yeah, it's history, and the rest is history.
I mean, mentioned tires, but you've got other things as well. Hospitals rely on rubber for gloves, syringes, valves, tubes. Construction uses it for waterproofing membranes, expansion joints. Electronics use rubber for insulation, shock protection. Water treatment systems depend on rubber seals. Industrial machinery uses rubber to manage vibration and protect components. It's literally in everything that we do.
And if rubber disappears, the failures would cascade through every system we take for granted. Dr. Katrina, a professor at Ohio State and expert on latex production, says the society would collapse within months if natural rubber production stopped. And the more you map the dependencies, the more it makes sense. Tires are only the first domino. The real medicine, sanitation, and basic infrastructure. It's a startling reminder of how deeply rubber is woven into our modern life. Nearly all natural rubber still comes from a narrow band of Southeast Asia. It's the same species of a tree grown in similar plantation structures with similar vulnerabilities. If the leaf blight that destroyed Brazil ever got to Asia, it would take out global supply chains just as quickly in Asia as it did there.
Yeah. Climate change is adding more stress. Rubber trees do not like unpredictable rainfall or big temperature swings, and both are increasing. Fungal pressure grows with warmer nights. Storms damage bark. On top of that, most production is done by smallholder farms who face volatile prices and difficult working conditions. Every part of the system seems pretty fragile.
Synthetic rubber is important, but it cannot replace natural rubber in high-stress application like aircraft tires. Natural rubber still has unmatched mechanical properties.
And this is why researchers are exploring alternatives. Guayule, it's hard to, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, is a desert shrub that produces latex and can grow in harsh, dry conditions.
Ooh, I'll put some of them in my yard.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm in a harsh, dry condition.
Yeah. It's like, oh, will it grow in Palm Springs? The Kazakhstan dandelion
That's all I need to know. Yeah.
Well, I know that weeds grow really well in, California, having lived there a long time. So the Kazakhstan dandelion has latex in its roots. So maybe you can grow some dandelions in there.
There you go. I can start my own rubber production.
There you go.
Done.
Yeah, I'm sure your neighbors would love that. So these dandelions and this desert shrub, they both offer geographic diversity that I think we kind of desperately need in this particular use case.
Then there's biotechnology. People are engineering disease-resistant rubber trees or trying to insert latex-producing pathways into other crops. Wait, are you saying one day I'll be able to just wring latex out of corn? Like, that seems crazy to me. But if that's how we're going to solve it, okay. I don't know enough about it.
Yeah.
Tobacco. It's tobacco.
Yeah, actually, yeah. This is exactly what I'm saying, yeah.
Yes, it's exactly it. And on the circulatory side, tire recycling and devulcanization are improving and reducing dependency on virgin rubber. So if we reuse it, right, we don't have to go back to the rubber tree plant and tap it one more time.
Yeah, true. But I mean, it's, after a while, the devulcanization process is like, it doesn't work anymore. So it's like, plastics, you only get so many times out of it, I think. But yeah. No, wouldn't that be cool though? You could grow your corn and rubber at the same time, like,
right?
or that would be
forget ethanol, forget all of that. Forget high fructose corn syrup. We're going after the rubber. We're going after I want latex coming out of that corn. That would be weird. It would be
would be weird.
Wouldn't that be a weird thing to just kind of create out of nothing or out of something genetically? It's all too weird for me.
That is too weird.
So let me ask you something.
Yeah, go for it.
What's your favorite thing made of rubber? I mean, do you have anything like, I got to tell you something. I have a dog who likes to suck on stuff.
Right.
She's weird.
Sure.
Like,
yeah,
the lace just like, they say Frenchies do it because it makes them feel better. So I just thought, I can't stand her sucking on the corners of stuff. I just can't handle it anymore. So I bought her a bunch of rubber binkies. So now my dog sucks binkies. But it could be, every time I see that binky in her mouth, I laugh. So there you go. That's my...
What's my favorite thing? I don't know. I guess I've never thought about what my favorite rubber thing is. I mean, I don't know. Tires. I like tires,
Yeah, I guess, right? Like, that's a good one. It's a good one.
I guess.
It's a good one to appreciate, for sure.
I have a box of, gloves because I, spray paint and, messy. So, yeah, rubber gloves. Yeah, sure. But I don't know. Very utilitarian. Our dog.
Like, that's a pretty amazing thing, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like shoes. Yeah.
Because it used to be wooden or leather shoe bottoms, right? Like this idea that that's a pretty modern way of looking at a material, right? Yeah, your Vans.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Lots of rubber.
Yeah, I mean, love my Vans.
I
so
know,
maybe there you go. Maybe Vans. Maybe Vans is my favorite thing made out of rubber. Yeah, but so rubber is entering the phase many legacy materials go through, right? So the source is stressed, the risks are visible, and innovation becomes necessary. The future is likely to be a mix of new crops, better chemistry, and smarter recycling.
So, rubber, it turns out, is one of those invisible technologies that holds the world together. It is the story's ancient, strange, and absolutely central to modern life.
And because it has worked for so long, we forget how close it always is to breaking. This is a material that needs reinvention, resilience, and alternatives if we want to carry us into the future.
From tree sap in the rainforest to bioengineered dandelions, it has been quite a journey.
All right, which means it fits perfectly into our Nostalgic Nerds podcast episode.
So thank you, nerds, for listening.
Hit the
Please
likes.
subscribe if you haven't. Like this, subscribe, share it with your friends. We're happy to do it. Thank you to every one of you that turns it and listens.
All right. Hit us up on email, nostalgicnerdspodcast@gmail.com. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Mark. See you later, nerds.
Rain won't rot you, fire won't win. You're the armor on which we spin. Bridges hold and engines hum. You're the reason we overcome. You bend, but you never let go. Holding tight through the highs and lows. So vulcanized rubber, you keep us alive. Stretching and snapping, you help us survive. From tires to souls, to seals that don't break. You're the bond in the world we make. Unseen hero under our feet. From jungle sap to industrial beach. You're the silent pulse that keeps time in every bounce and every climb.